What makes a multiplayer game fun for you? For me, there's many things. I love fast shooters, I love survival games, and I'm obsessed with zombies. But one key motivator is tension. Tension of if an enemy is around the corner. Tension for if you're going to manage to successfully complete the mission. Tension of the unknown. Emotions are a key motivator in enjoyment of video games, and the more emotions a game can bring out, the better it is in my eyes. When I think of a multiplayer game genre that's made me feel such a wide variety of emotions, the first is always extraction royales, with multiplayer survival games coming in a close second. Defining an extraction royale is a little bit difficult due to the variety of mechanics available in the current games on the market. In a broad stroke, it has PvPvE, aka player versus environment, which is PvP with some form of AI enemies to keep things fresh and tense. Looting being either a small or a key mechanic, picking up items that may not directly be beneficial in combat, but become useful through external systems such as trading and shops, and death being more punishing than in other games. This could be a loss of all your gear, or just whatever you found during that game. Quests or objectives, ranging from killing other players, to getting specific items, or visiting specific places. A reason to be somewhere, a reason to fight someone, a reason to be in someone else's crosshairs. Extraction royales as a genre have been bubbling up over the last 5 years, with more and more games announcing either a specific extraction mode or taking it as their main aspect. And now with Bungie throwing their hat into the ring with Marathon being one, I thought I'd go back and talk about what is in my eyes one of the true progenitors of the extraction royale genre, and we're also going to run through how we got from there to where we are now. So first, we have to talk about Runescape. I really hope everyone knows what this game is by now. A cult classic revived due to the developers' incompetence with RuneScape 3. If you want to know how much I love this game with all of my heart, please go watch my RuneScape video, because then I hope you'll see why I'm so passionate about this game. But in the north of the RuneScape map is the Wilderness, an area where PvP is always on, with some of the best rewards and moneymakers, and some of the most talented and evil players, lurking waiting for noobs and normal players alike. See, RuneScape has this thing called a combat level. It's a summary level based on your combat stats. As soon as you enter the wilderness, right next to the ditch, you can only be attacked by players really close to your combat level. But the further you go in, the more the wilderness level rises, and the larger the gap in combat levels that players can attack each other. By wilderness level 30, you can be attacked by players much stronger than you, and by level 50, it's basically anyone's game. If someone attacks you in the wilderness, you can teleport away from level 30 or below. If you're above 50, you have to run south until you can get to level 30. This is simple enough until you add in the teleblock spell that players can cast. This means you can't teleport for between 2.5 to 5 minutes if it goes off correctly. So instead of being able to teleport instantly when you see someone, if you're in level 40 wildy, you have to run down to level 30 to be able to teleport. But if they teleblock you, you have to run and tank the damage the entire way down to the level 1 wilderness ditch to escape. You're more likely to die than escape unless you're a smart player, but I hope you see where some of the complexity comes in, because this is just the start. When you die to a player in the wilderness, you lose everything except your 3 most valuable items. You can also do a mechanic called Prayer to protect an extra item, but this is only the case if you are unskulled, aka not being the first to engage combat. If you try to attack another player in the wilderness, you become skulled. An icon appears above your head indicating that you tried to initiate combat with someone, and if you die while skulled, you lose everything except 1 item if you're doing that prayer correctly, aka a +1. This creates a really interesting dynamic that I think is best exemplified by an area called the Revenant Caves. The Revenant Caves is a hotspot in the wilderness. Inside the caves is a bunch of Revenant monsters, ranging from low-level imps to high-level dragons. These things drop very valuable items for their levels. The entrance to the cave is at level 20 wilderness, and has low-level imps with low-level drops. But the further north you go, the higher the enemy level and subsequent rewards are. The Revenant Caves goes all the way to 45 wilderness, so you could make some serious money from farming the higher tier monsters. But if a player tries to attack you, you've got to run to be able to teleport away. That is, if they don't teleblock you first. This area is risk versus reward condensed. If we view it from the monster farmer's perspective, if we get killed by a player, we lose everything except our 3 most valuable items. Do we just bring 3 high tier items and nothing else? Or go for a more mid tier setup to look like we're not worth a player killer's time? Do you bring extra supplies in case someone attacks you, so you can try and escape and tank their hits? Or do you feel that if you don't manage to teleport away, you're dead anyway, so you might as well bring no supplies? Stay an extra 5 minutes for some more money, or bank early with less, but actually have that money instead of risking losing it. Or if we view it from the perspective of someone who kills players, why risk time killing monsters for admittedly decent drops when you could kill a player that's been oh so kind as to farm those drops for you for half an hour, so you get all that loot in one 5-minute kill instead of 30 of grinding. But this comes with a compromise, that if you die, you're risking more. You could try and kill players while wearing budget gear, but you're not going to be as efficient statistically as if you were wearing good gear. Trade-offs. Pros and cons, micro decisions at every moment. This is what makes Extraction Royale so fun in my eyes. And RuneScape's Wilderness had all the embers of the future flame that would be Extraction Royales. But it took some more time to get from there to where we are today. So next we have to talk about the game that rocked almost every single genre available. One that when it came out, changed the gaming industry in the eyes of players all over the world. DayZ Mod. With an initial release in 2012, DayZ Mod changed gaming, an open-world zombie survival mod for Bohemia Interactive's already existing Arma 2 military simulation game. Whilst doing nothing inherently new or amazing, its combination of pre-existing robust multiplayer systems, a great variety of guns all mixed with its diverse looting experience, and the ability to mod the already existing mod with new items, guns, and mechanics meant they had a recipe for success. Aside from old-school RuneScape, DayZ Mod is my most played game. The amount of times I'd come home from school and play DayZ Epoch until the little hours of the morning, to go to school sleep deprived, and then come home and do it all again was frankly silly. But DayZ had refined a formula people didn't realise they wanted. Looting, gearing, storing, and then repeating. With base building being a thing in the base mod, it was heavily expanded upon with mods like Epoch. You would start off as a fresh spawn, with basically nothing, and then you would see and feel the progression. Bigger backpacks to store more loot, better armor rigs to store more ammo, guns from shitty double barrels up to the cream of the crop military rifles. You would then store or sell the excess and grind for vehicles, base building resources, customization, and cosmetics. A repeating cycle of loot, use, store, sell, and repeat. A formula that is a classic and still works to this day when done well. In fact, the amount of games trying and failing to be like DayZ is unreal. Some do stand on their own 2 feet, like Rust, and then there's others, like Infestation, that make a mockery of the genre. RuneScape influenced DayZ in survival games as a whole, and DayZ influenced our next game, because after a while, some people got tired of the DayZ formula. The long duration of play sessions, huge travel times, and overall slow pace caused fatigue for some players, and especially for one man, Brendan Green, aka Player Unknown. In 2013, he released his add-on mod for DayZ Mod Battle Royale, based on the year 2000 film of the same name, which is also based on the book released a year earlier. To quote Brendan himself, "I created my own DayZ server for people to play on. I messed with the loot tables, created more weapons. After doing that for about 6 months, I decided I wanted to make a mod. I basically modded a mod." Creating the shooter Battle Royale as a custom event for his DayZ server would inexplicably change the gaming landscape. It set out the basic rules of the genre, including players being forced to kill each other until there was a single survivor, taking place on a shrinking map, and the need to scavenge for weapons and items. People have differing opinions about the origins of the game mode, as there was also a Minecraft plugin called Hunger Games, released after the film of the same name came out in 2012. Whilst conceptually similar, there were very big differences in the flow of these games. Means to me, whilst this was influential, it was a contributor rather than an inspiration. But PlayerUnknown's DayZ Battle Royale mode started a chain of events. He then went on to develop the mod again for Arma 3, then becoming a consultant on H1Z1's Battle Royale mode. After that, he joined Bluehole, and started working on the game that took over the world for a while. I'd like to assume everyone knows about PUBG at this point. It and Battle Royales have had a chokehold on the gaming industry since its inception, and Battle Royale fatigue is at an all-time high after so long of it being the buzzword on every game executive's lips. But one thing PUBG and modern Battle Royales did was condense the formula that DayZ had set. The gearing, looting, and progression of DayZ was excellent, but it also took multiple hours, and had a lot more roadblocks and pitfalls that could occur to slow down your progression. Even just running from one side of the map would take so long if you didn't find a vehicle. Battle Royales took the fun of looting and gearing and condensed it from roughly 3 hours plus to around 30 minutes. Going from nothing to moderate gear to fully geared Chad was done in one round, rather than over 1 or more play sessions. You didn't have to go to a specific high loot point in the map for PvP. Instead, it was spread out across the entire map, with extra combat choke points created by the shrinking zone. You got your PvP and looting fix faster, easier, and with more immediate rewards. Knowing that you beat 99 other people is a good feeling, and it started a trend of Battle Royale games for years to come. But like with every genre, things get stale over time. The more you play, the less visceral and exciting the experience becomes. And all the while, during the Battle Royale boom, Tarkov was building up its reputation as a powerhouse of unique gameplay. The line between evolved from and its sibling to is very thin between these games. A lot of aspects of Battle Royales have been copied by Extraction Royales, and in comparison, Battle Royales have not really been able to take too many aspects of Extraction Royales due to their multi-game permanence, unlike one game at a time Battle Royales. But surprisingly enough, Tarkov's purchasable beta access and PUBG were both released in the same year of 2017. But before we talk about Tarkov, we have to go back just 1 year to the Division's Dark Zone. The Division released in 2016 to a mixed reception. Beautiful world, but with a lack of fleshed out systems, downgrades from pre-release footage, and a myriad of other issues. But one thing it did have that was truly unique was the Dark Zone, a specific section of the map that was contaminated, and as such loot wasn't handled the normal way, a unique PvPvE experience. Because once your loot is picked up, it's put in your contamination pouch. You couldn't get it by just leaving the way you came in. In order to decontaminate it, you would have to take it to one of the multiple central and known locations, and call a helicopter in to extract it. Once you've called an extraction, everyone in the lobby would be notified. The fun part about the Division's Dark Zone is that it's not inherently a full PvP zone. When you first come in, you're just acting as a regular Division agent, unable to fire upon other players. But at any point, you can choose to go rogue, enabling you to shoot at any other player you choose. But this also means that you're marked on the map in close proximity to other players. And the more people you kill, and the longer you stay rogue, the more likely a manhunt will start, where regular non-rogue agents will team up to take you down. This gave way to multiple playstyles. If you're like me and enjoy a good ratting, then stay sneaky. Don't go rogue and avoid other players, with the goal to loot up and extract the gear as quickly and as quietly as possible, and avoid other players at all cost. Because even if they're friendly now, they might not be in 5 minutes. If you had a good build, or better yet had some friends with you, you could go rogue from the start, engaging players and AI alike to take all the spoils of war for yourself. You could even do the middle ground, a rat for the most part, but if a player in a bad situation turns their back on you, then I guess that's just their mistake that you can turn into profit. The core philosophy of the Dark Zone and Extraction Royales as a whole is risk versus reward. Dangerous areas with the best loot also mean the hardest challenges and the most competition. You could be safer, but your rewards would also be watered down as a result. Player interaction. You think you hear someone. Do you speak first and try and cooperate, possibly gaining an ally, or possibly revealing your position and putting yourself at risk of them shooting you? Or do you stay silent? Maybe because you just want them to pass by without incident, or just maybe because you'll shoot them in the back the moment they pass you. Unlike full-blown Extraction Royales, in the Dark Zone you don't lose everything you brought in, just everything that you've found currently. This is less dangerous than other games like Escape from Tarkov, as in those games everything except a few items you come in with are dropped when you die. But this created a very good entry-level experience in the Dark Zone. Good players could get the cream of the crop loot, and bad players could still get some gems of gear if they played smart, and they weren't punished as hard if the sweats found them. Now, it's not directly an Extraction Royale by modern definitions. The mechanics and the flow that the Dark Zone set became the standard for other developers to refer to. Survival mechanics, multiple infills and a few exfills, the tension of who is an ally and who is an enemy, and the PvPvE goodness that kept people coming back. Discussing what makes an Extraction Royale is both easy and kinda difficult, because each game tends to take a slightly different spin on the matter, and a lot of people put the games in different boxes based on their own taste. But there's one game that everyone respects as the definitive example of a full Extraction Royale: Escape from Tarkov. Yeah, it's time to talk about the 7 years in beta elephant in the room. If you've seen my video on it, you understand how much I love this game, and how it lives rent-free in my head for providing one of the most unique and exhilarating experiences I've ever had in gaming. And yes, the game has a serious load of problems, that I don't deny, but we're going to be talking about it from a mechanical standpoint for this video. Escape from Tarkov has set the standard over time. Scope creep has turned what was meant to be a simple yet detailed full loot PvP experience into one of the most diverse and mechanically unique first-person survival experiences around. Take something as simple as the stash, a place to store your gear. Building up resources in cash, ammo and guns, or materials, and any kind of item you can store is incredibly satisfying, and provides visual progression aside from a numerical account level. But the stash is the accomplice to the biggest change from the Division to Tarkov: full loot loss on death. Now yeah, in Tarkov you have the secure container stuck up your ass that means you won't lose a few precious items each time you die. But the Dark Zone would be a very different experience if you lost your weapons and armor each time you died, just like in Tarkov. This one change is what provides near endless more tension, combining full loot loss on death with a variety of quests requiring you to find items or place items in places. Suddenly, the stakes are multiplied, searching frantically, raid after raid, to find something specific for a quest, facing competition from other players in loot spots it could appear in, and the ambivalent satisfaction and fear of finding the item you need, because now you need to get out with it. One wrong shot from an AI means you've got to do it all over again. It's honestly addictive for me, and it's been the game that started my desire to play all of the Extraction Royales available, because I've had more fun in the last 3 years of Extraction Royales than the last 8 years of Battle Royales. Because Tarkov is a natural evolution of the same mechanics DayZ and Battle Royale games started and refined. DayZ was slow, with permanence. Battle Royales were fast, but your rewards were ethereal and had no impact when you went back in. Tarkov changed the situation. Playing a raid in Tarkov can take up to 50 minutes, but the loot from the raids lasts as long as you do. You could wear your high tier spoils straight into the next raid and run around as a highly geared Giga Chad. But all it takes is one shot from someone you didn't see to send you back to the menu, and all of that gear is lost. Tarkov took the feeling of gearing and looting that DayZ and Battle Royales did so well, but made it so that games were short, loot could last game to game, and it had the PvPvE that spiced up even the most boring of raids. Everyone thinks they're hot shit, until you get head-eyed by a scav with buckshot. The refinement of mechanics was tangible. Instead of building a base manually like in DayZ, in Tarkov you use the junk you find to build and upgrade parts of your pre-existing hideout. You have this sense of progression, and upgrades you can feel the effect of, like increased stash space, new crafting recipes, and ways to increase your stats. The hideout is very similar to a mobile game in some ways, but it's easy enough for everyone to do, and rewarding enough that everyone should do it. It's not a case of, say, Rust or DayZ, where there are optimum base building formations to be the most resistant to raids or attacks from other players. If you have the junk in Tarkov, you should upgrade your stuff. Simple as that. Traders from DayZ that were located in a spot you had to travel to, risking getting attacked by other players or AI, are now on a menu, granting instant access to weapons, armor, and almost anything that you could need. Combine that with the flea market of player trading. Instead of asking in side chat or at a trader if any other player has what you need, now you have a market board of 90% of the in-game items you may require for a quest or hideout upgrade. Quests give incentives to play. Personally, when I talk to my friends about why they do and don't like Extraction Royales, the lack of direction or win condition plays a big factor. In DayZ, you were surviving for the sake of surviving, looting for the sake of some imaginary win condition in your head. In Battle Royales, you play to win. Whilst the tangible rewards for winning may not be too high, the emotional and internal rewards are what gets you through. Now, Tarkov doesn't have a win condition yet. Whilst it is called Escape from Tarkov, there's no way to escape. Yet. But quests provide an incentive to play specific maps, try different playstyles, and basically do stuff you wouldn't usually do because there are XP and item rewards. I'd like to show you a small timeline of what, in my opinion, created the current Extraction Royale genre. RuneScape and full loot PvP MMOs set a standard and pacing for risk versus reward. Whilst not very PvPvE, the situations created in RuneScape's wilderness stoked the fires of many developers' hearts. We then move on to DayZ, which set the standard for open world survival games going forward. Punishing deaths, big maps, dynamic player interaction, with not everyone you see being strictly an ally or an enemy. PUBG and Battle Royales condensed DayZ into a short-term experience, one that can be picked up and put down at a moment's notice, and you're not punished for taking a break. Then Tarkov refined the short-term experience into a longer-term format that can be played for months at a time without getting as burned out as you would in DayZ. Once again, as I iterated earlier, Tarkov is definitely not perfect, but my fucking god, it has set the mechanical standpoint for Extraction Royales going forward, and its influence can already be seen on so many Extraction Royale games. So let's look to the present and the future of what this genre holds.
Shit, you already know I'm obsessed with it. I can't get enough. Back with another milk. Help! Help! Help me! Help!
Once again, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know I love this Call of Duty based Tarkov Light mode. Gone are the hardcore mechanics. Gone is out of raid stashes and traders, and in is fast paced, accessible and dopamine rushing gameplay. While some would consider DMZ to be watered down, and I agree to an extent, I feel like Tarkov Light is the better descriptor to go along with the commonly used roguelike and roguelite terms. DMZ has quests, faction progression, activities to do in the world, diverse PvPvE experiences, and full loot loss on death, aside from the fucking pay-to-win bundles that still exist and I'm really mad about. But it also innovated in its own ways. events that change the game, unique seasonal updates, and the ability to group up on the fly. It even did map-to-map travel before Tarkov did with its Koshi complex in Al Mazrah. If you're looking for an entry-level extraction royale with all the thrills of the genre without its punishing deaths, this is one I seriously recommend. I really do just wish Activision would remove the pay for convenience or add a way for non-payers to get it. Marauders. Here's another game I've covered. Marauders is a diesel punk extraction royale set in space. Now for full clarity, this game is in early access and it points it shows, but it's also got so much potential, and me and my friends have had so much fun in our 50 hours with the game. It's got ship combat, breaching other players' ships, an incredibly unique and standout art style, and all the marking of an extraction royale with lots of potential. Any gripes I have with the game are generally minor and frankly shared across the entire genre. Its quest system is a bit weird and can cause a lot of roadblocks, but provide a good sense of progression. It's got a great variety of guns for how long the game has been out, and some feel really good to use. One personal aspect I love is the sound design. Whilst 3D vertical sound is something a lot of games struggle with, including this one, the actual design of the sound effects and environments are great and carry a phenomenal sense of ambience for every raid you do. The Psycho Frontier. Hunt Showdown. I don't play Hunt Showdown anymore, but I seriously love the time I've spent with this game. A cowboy-themed extraction hunting game, but with a great twist on the extraction royale genre. Instead of going in to do different missions, tasks, or just to loot, everyone goes in with the goal to kill 1 or 2 big bosses. No side objectives, just find clues to find the boss, or stumble upon them yourself. You could start fighting it when you find it, or lay in wait and have some unknowing team start to fight it, and then at the last minute kill them and take it for yourself. The sound design in this game, oh my fucking god. The gold standard for both audio design and great 3D audio. The environments look amazing, and whilst requiring a decent PC to look good, the art style and visuals are phenomenal. Guns look and feel great. Awesome design across the board, with responsive and active developers that genuinely care and listen to the community. Hunt is an outlier in this genre, but a phenomenal one. Hazard Zone. You fucking idiots. Suck my cock and balls dice. I'm not gonna forgive you for this one. So the market has had some good extraction royales available. I know this for sure because I play every one that comes out, and everyone that has a beta test, and the future is looking bright for the genre. Marathon, made by Bungie. After all the cutting of the PvP team from Destiny 2, they gotta come out swinging for this one. And even though we don't have gameplay for this yet, if it's anything like Destiny's gunplay, it'll be a fun one. Dark and Darker for if medieval sword and magic type stuff is your fantasy. Honestly, I played some of the playtests and I wasn't a fan of how slow the combat felt. But a lot of people really love the playtests and are excited for it to come out once Nexon stops fucking the developers over, so I'm praying for this game's success. And finally, the extraction royale I'm most excited for, aside from Tarkov actually getting finished one day, is the Division Heartland. From what we've seen, this shit looks awesome. Dynamic PvP and open world events with the pollution, the looting, and the world design of the Division has been great, with an optional PvE mode for those looking to dip their feet into it. It's a natural evolution of the Division 1 survival mode, which I really want to make a video on because that mode was so fucking good. I probably shouldn't, but I have high hopes for this game, and even though I signed up to help test this game on day 1 of the beta, they haven't let me in! Come on Ubisoft, I need that shit, please! But aside from those, there are a few more outliers that we just don't know enough about, like Arc Raiders. It's seeming like extraction royales are going to be the next big thing replacing battle royales, and I for one couldn't be happier. I look forward to playing many a game where my progress is going to be stopped by someone shooting me stealthily from a bush. I can't fucking wait. Thank you for watching. Hey, Sonny here for the epilogue. It's been longer than I'd like since my last video, for a multitude of reasons. I've been working on my next bigger non-gaming video, but that takes time. And honestly, I removed the 2 to 3 week deadline I had on myself for making videos, because I want to make content that I'd want to see, rather than making content purely for the sake of content and some arbitrary deadline. It went well at first, but then, without a carrot or a stick, I ended up doing nothing but playing my 2 Runescape accounts as a job, even though I already have a fucking job. But hopefully, I'm back in the swing of things. If I start slacking again, then I'm gonna set a monthly deadline on myself because I procrastinate bad. But for now, that's all from me. But I leave you with one question. How the hell does Bridget have a whole town inside her?